Hey there, fight friends. Welcome to the MMA show, the show where we talk about Canadian mixed martial arts and only Canadian mixed martial arts. If it's a UFC or some other promotion around the world and there's no Canadian on it, or if the Canadian's just not fighting somewhere, I don't really know about it and I don't want to talk about it. This is a good week for Canadian mixed martial arts. We have 4 MMA events happening this weekend. We have Samourai MMA 19 going down Friday night in Montreal. We've got a great fight card there. I'll be interviewing Dufort, Antoine Chaput, and Camillo Avellan for this episode. We also have Mayhem Fights number 2 in Orangeville. It's a new-ish amateur MMA organization for Ontario. You saw my interview with co-founder Alana Beman last week. We have Rising Stars MMA 4 in Brantford. Rising Stars is basically a co-endeavor with a few different promoters, including Reno Belcasto from MTC in Windsor and the Adrenaline guys in London. So Chris Wardesky, all those guys. Finally, we have Thicc Boy Fight number 10 in Mississauga. Thicc Boy has got a soft spot in my heart. I'm always a big fan of Thicc Boy. They have a very unique style of show that I absolutely love attending. And we're going to be talking with the co-founders, Andrew Tyson and Bojan Kladnjaković. So stay tuned for that interview, for those interviews. It's going to be a good one. But before we get to that, I'd like to take a moment and express some gratitude. I've been doing this for a long time. I think some of you know I've been doing this for a long time, but maybe a lot of you don't know. I actually attended my first mixed martial arts event in 2006. So that makes 20 freaking years, man, I've been doing this. And for the longest time, I kind of had the attitude where I just wanted to stay incognito. I didn't want my name to be known. I didn't want my face to be known. I just wanted to be on the sidelines. The reason being, if you knew what was happening back in the day when MMA first started becoming popular, I had already been in it for a few years at that point, but a few years into my MMA journalism, people started popping out of the woodwork left, right, and center, and they were representing websites and they had their own things. And what I noticed was that a lot of them just seemed to be fanboys. They had good intentions maybe at one point, but they'd get to an event and they'd be unprofessional. They'd be cheering on friends that were fighters. They'd be not actually submitting any type of content after attending an event under a media credential. So basically just wanted a free ticket. And I just didn't like the way that those type of people are being represented. So I really wanted to differentiate myself and just make sure that I always turn in professional work. My professionalism was never questioned, and that I just kind of showed up and did the job. It wasn't until really only the past few years that I've even started doing small things like getting my picture taken with fighters. I never did that for years. I myself was not the main character. And I've started making myself the main character a little bit, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's selfish. I think I'm a part of this process, and I love doing it. And I'm thankful that people at this point know who I am and they want to participate with me, because I think I've set up that foundation of professionalism, of not being biased. Like, I'll go to a fight, I'll go to an event. There might be a fight with one of the fighters being somebody I know extremely well and I like on a personal level. I might even call friends. If you watch me during that event, you're never going to know. I'm not going to show any bias towards my friend. I'm not going to cheer more. In fact, what I do is when every fighter walks out to that cage, regardless if they're new to me or if they're my best friend in the whole world, they each get 7 claps. That's it for everybody. So I don't even give an extra clap to the people that I like, or the people that I know, sorry. So that's just my attitude towards that. So I've tended not to be recognized for a long time. And once again, to add on to what I said a minute ago, I've only really in the past couple of years started putting my face on videos, on interviews, and that's kind of for self-branding and purpose to try to expand the MMA brand. So when I'm recognized, which I am quite a bit more these days, it's still a little of a shock to me. Like, I'm surprised, and I don't really get recognized. Although once again, the past couple of years, so many people have been showing appreciation to me, but something happened to me last week that still I was unprepared for, and it made me feel pretty good. So I'm going to take a moment and read to you a Facebook post I encountered this past week that was posted by Daniel Lafond, who is the owner promoter of Samourai MMA. I'd met Daniel 3, 4, 5 times in the past. I've attended some of his events, and this past month on April 18th, So April 18th was the UFC in Winnipeg. So the night before, April 17th, I went out for dinner and just happened to be there with Daniel and Michel Dufort and the Samourai main man Romy and a few other people. And we just got to know each other a little bit as people, and it was a really great night. So I'm going to take a moment now and read to you what Daniel said. You can, I don't know if on Instagram you can press the button to make it go double speed, but if you're on TikTok, you can. Anyway. From Daniel Lafond, another small excerpt from my book, Samourai 6 in Gatineau. What an unforgettable experience. We were managing media requests, and for the first of the rare times, the major outlets were all there. CBC Radio Canada, TVA, Le Droit, and many others. In Gatineau, Julien Leblanc and Alain Mejeric are treated like legends. The local media there have something truly magical when it comes to their fighters, a genuine passion and respect for telling their stories. At the same time, the team at Lorena MMA, still relatively new to the MMA scene, was doing an incredible job on their side. You could feel the dedication and love for their sport everywhere around the event. True. Then, in the middle of all the chaos, I received a message from one of the old school pioneers. I'd love to be there to cover your event. Signed, Andy Cotterill. For many people, that name represents a legendary era of MMA journalism. I personally followed him back in the Sherdog days when Sherdog was the global reference in the MMA world. Andy was one of those rare individuals willing to cross Canada on his own dime, spending his own money just to help shine a light on fighters and organizations. Pause for a second. I started working for Sherdog in 2006. I was already involved in the MMA community at the time in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I was training at Bushido Kai and a few other places where I started Japanese Jiu-Jitsu at 30, and I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 40. And so when the first MMA event was due to happen in April of 2006, that was Extreme Cage Combat #1 in Halifax, I had like a 3 or 4 or 5 month heads up notice that it was coming. So I had a favorite website, Sherdog, the one that Daniel mentioned, and I messaged them. And it was just one of those web submission forms where, how can you help us, send your name, whatever. So I said, hi, this is who I am. This is where I am. This is what's happening. I would like to cover the event for Sherdog, and I'd like to send you a report and all that kind of stuff. And within a couple of days, I didn't get a response. And 3 or 4 or 5 days, I still didn't get a response. So I sent a second message, which was ignored. And the third message that I sent, they didn't reply to. Thankfully, the fourth message just went unanswered. The fifth message, I think they finally didn't answer. And fast forward a little bit, I think, hand on heart, swear to God, I finally sent like 12 or 13 messages over the course of 3 or 4 months saying, hey, this is what I want to do. Finally, one day on Sherdog, there was some kind of news report, and there was an actual email address on there. The man's name was Jake Rawson. He's also a longtime writer for Sherdog. So I emailed Jake with that email address. And I said, hi, Jake, my name's Andy. And I told him what I thought. And I said, would you mind, please, just forwarding my request to whoever's in charge of Sherdog and just saying that I'd really like to do this. And almost right away, he answered back and said, yeah, no problem, I'll do that. I think within a day, I was messaged by a man named Josh Gross. Now, Josh was a very well-known figure in the MMA world back in the day, and he still is to some degree. But back, he was the editor of Sherdog, and he eventually moved on to Sports Illustrated and ESPN. I think he works for The Athletic now. And he messaged me, he said, hey, Andy, I got all your messages, so yeah, we'll give you a shot. Anyway, so I attended my first Extreme Cage Combat #1, and the next day I sent Josh photos for all the fighters for the Sherdog Fight Finder. I gave all their stats. I had photos from the event. I had an event breakdown. I basically had everything. And Josh messaged me back and said, holy moly, Andy. Like, he probably didn't say holy moly. Those are my words. But he said, Andy, wow, like you did, that was great. That was everything. Thank you so much. And a very short time later, he messaged me and said, hey, Andy, would you consider writing a weekly column on Canadian mixed martial arts for Sherdog? And I had some apprehensions because at the time I was full-time military. I was in the Royal Canadian Navy, and I was gone for half of every year roughly. So I knew it was a big commitment and it would be a challenge, but regardless, I couldn't turn it down. So I said, yep, sure, let's do it. And over the course of the next handful of years, I did that. I did a weekly column. It was called MMA News and Notes from Canada. And it was an incredible experience. I got to do some traveling. I got to attend a whole bunch of events. I got connections to all the different fighters. Basically, it's how I started, and it was incredible. And now to set the scene for you, back in the day, I say back in the day, like it's 20 years ago, but there was no such thing as MMA Junkie. There was no ESPN coverage of mixed martial arts. There was nothing. There was Sherdog. Sherdog was it. There were a couple small ones that came up afterwards, like oh my god, I can't even remember what they're called, to be honest, because they've come and they've gone. Sherdog's still there in a different form, but the Sherdog back then was much different than the Sherdog now. Sherdog was able to cover all the UFCs, sure, but even back then, UFCs didn't happen as frequently as they did now. Back then, you would be eagerly anticipating a UFC in a month or 2 months' time, like you'd be talking about it with your friends. Like now, a UFC happens some nights, I didn't even know what happened. If there's a Canadian fighting, I'll know, of course, but otherwise, I can't keep track of them. That's why I've chosen to have my niche of Canadian MMA. Anyway, in addition to that, Sherdog had regional MMA. So they had Tony Loisler did like the weekly Japan MMA column. I did the weekly Canadian MMA column. There are a few different other weekly columns from around the world too. So that really brought the fans around the world to Sherdog. And it was something I could talk about for a long, long time. But right now, I'll just leave it at that and say that I'm also very grateful for my time with Sherdog. It kind of led me to where I am now. All right, so back to Daniel's letter. So I'll read that last paragraph. For many people, that name, Andy Cotterill, represents a legendary era of MMA journalism. I personally followed him back in the Sherdog days when Sherdog was the global reference in the MMA world. Andy was one of those rare individuals willing to cross Canada on his own dime, spending his own money just to help shine a light on fighters and organizations. And honestly, back then, I didn't fully understand the sacrifices he was making for his passion. I'm talking about him today because beyond the journalist, I discovered the man. Even though he had already covered some of our events before, it was in Winnipeg during a UFC weekend that I truly got to know him. I spent an unforgettable evening with him and one of his Army colleagues. It's actually Air Force, Daniel, but close. That's my friend Jay, and Jay had a great night that night too. That night, I discovered an incredible human being, a real one, a man driven by pure passion. Several times I found myself deeply moved by his stories, by his perspective in life, and by the fire that still lives inside him after all these years. Andy is not just an MMA journalist. He is one of the silent builders of the sport in Canada. I truly wish more fighters across the country realized how genuine, humble, and important this man is to the MMA community. Thank you, Andy, for crossing paths with us. Thank you for the unforgettable moments and conversations. And I promise you this, the next time you attend one of our events, I'll make sure even more people are around that dinner table so they can experience the same admiration and respect I felt being in your company. Thank you, my friend. Whew. Wow, that's pretty heavy. And yeah, it felt really good to hear. Not going to lie, it felt pretty terrific. Daniel would not have been able to say those words were he not a man of compassion and conviction and kindness. He truly is such a gentle, friendly, wonderful man who has done more than his own fair share to make sure the sport of MMA in Canada, specifically Quebec, is being promoted. Daniel also has a great, and this is something some of you might not realize, he has great relationships with other co-promoters. Jay Golshani, Battlefield Fight League, Derek and John from Fight League Atlantic. It's not like the olden days where people thought of each other as competitors and they didn't want them to succeed. These people are all truly trying their best to grow the sport and make sure that it gets as big as it can be, and that the fighters are prioritized and the fighters get the fights they want, they get the recognition and admiration they desire, and so much more. So Daniel, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for that beautiful beautiful note. Thank you, and I'll see you again for dinner. All right, we're going to move on to the interviews. We're going to start off with Michel Dufort. He is fighting in the main event of Samourai 19 this weekend. We are also going to be talking with Antoine Chaput and Camillo Avellan, both two promising young fighters in Quebec, and they both have bright futures ahead of themselves. And finally, our last interview will be with, I mentioned, Andrew Tyson and Bojan Kladnjaković from Thicc Boy Fight Night, Thicc Boy Fight Club, and that's that. So enjoy the show. Make sure you do all the things you can, please, to like, share, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This will be posted across all podcast platforms very shortly. Enjoy the show, and I will see you at the fights. Michel Dufort, thanks for taking the time to chat with me today. How are things?
I'm good. I'm very good. Can't wait to fight on this Friday. And it's fight week. We love it.
Yep. And before we get to all the fight stuff, I just want to comment. I noticed before we started that you've got your jigsaw puzzle out. And if the viewers are watching this video saw my last interview with Mike, he also had a jigsaw puzzle coming out he was working on before his last fight. So tell me what a jigsaw puzzle means to you and what it does for you and why you work on it on fight week.
I really like to finish something, accomplish something before to start a fight. Gives me like the good mindset, the good spirit of like being competent. Because at the
Yeah.
end of training camp, like time might be long and you think too much sometimes. So just being, just like turning the brain off and accomplishing something, like it's very like it's very fun.
Yeah, it makes total sense to me. What's the subject of this puzzle? Can you show us the cover?
Oh, I can show you. Um, it's pretty much like an island with yeah, that's it.
Nice. Pretty.
It's just like yeah, it's just a puzzle.
Now, are you going to pace yourself so that you're not finished too early?
Exactly. Like I'm counting the time and like I want to finish it like probably Wednesday. So I still have 2 days. So gotta pace it up.
Yeah, smart. Okay, let's go on to fight week. It's an exciting
Yep.
time. You are fighting this weekend against Jeremy Henry, main event of the next Samurai MMA event, and I think this is your third title defense for the Samurai Lightweight Championship. Is that correct? Third or second?
Yeah. It's my fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah, fourth defense.
Fourth defense. Holy moly, time flies. How does it? It's not often you see a champion in an organization that gets to hold on to the title for that long.
Yeah, no, that's true. Huh? I'm kind of a like I guess my relationship with Daniel Lafond is pretty strong. So we like to work together. We work well together, and I think that's why I'm still working with him and defending my belt.
Yeah, it must also have something to do with the fact that you're very popular in Quebec, aren't you?
Yeah, that's another reason why Danielle loves me. I think it's because people like to see me fight. Like I know for sure that the Casino of Montreal have been sold out since almost the week of the announcement of the fight. So means that people were ready and they bought their tickets pretty fast. So it's very nice.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, Mike. I know that when you are in a situation, not even you, Mike, Michel Dufort, it could be any of us, we're getting a situation where at one point in time you were not the champion. And now you're the champion. And then you fight and you're still the champion. And then you fight and you're still the champion. After a while, human beings, it's only natural, we become complacent. We get used to where we are. We get used to the level of effort we put into things. So I'm just wondering if it's a challenge for you as a high level athlete to keep your motivation, to keep your drive, to keep putting in all the effort you put in for every fight after the other.
Actually, it's pretty easy to keep the effort on because I'm not where I want to be right now. So it's easy to work really hard because I'm not where I want to be. I want to be in the UFC and I'm not there yet. So it's easy to push myself and tell myself like I gotta fucking do the best performance I can do to impress
Mhm.
the UFC crew. And I've been vocal for a while, like I want my chance and I'm not gonna miss it and I will make it happen. And Henry is the next step for it to make it happen. So my plan is not only to win, it's to destroy this guy. Like I really want to make it my best performance ever. Like I
Mhm.
want the UFC to see me and say like, "Holy moly, he's good," and we want him in the UFC, and that's how they're going to sign me. Like the best would be to just have such a good performance that I don't even need to go by a Dana White Contender Series. Like
Mhm.
just like give me a fight straight up, and I'm ready. I'm there. I'm there. I'm the best fighter in the world in my head right now. Like there's
Yeah.
no one better than me, and like people can say whatever they want. I don't give a fuck. Like you
Mm.
can say I'm stupid saying I'm the best, but right now I feel I'm the best, and we all know that it's the most important thing. It's what's in between your ear. Like what's in your head. What's your mindset? Like what people think we don't care. Like it's me versus me. It's no one else.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's a very important attitude to have, that positive mindset, because you have to think like some people watching this might have never heard of you before, and they hear you say some guy they've never heard of go, "I'm the best fighter in the world," and they go, "Sure, sure, yeah, right." But what they don't understand is that everybody who they think is the best fighter in the world, or whoever their favorite fighter is, there was a point in time when they didn't know who they were. You've got to
Exactly.
start somewhere, and how can anybody be expected to think that you're going to be a world champion someday if you don't think that same thing yourself? So I think it's
Exactly.
for a high caliber athlete, I think it's totally understandable for you to have that mindset.
Exactly. I think like people are there to criticism, to do some make some critics, and like we're going to be judged whatever we say. So just like let them judge something like bold if you want.
Well, I do want, and speaking about bold, you have been vocal, like you mentioned, extremely vocal. Sure, you perform inside the cage, you win fights inside the cage, but outside the cage, you've been very open about your call to the UFC to get noticed. So you're doing a series now. I think you're on what, like day 110 or something like that, where you're making a post every day until the UFC signs you. So
Day 7 of me asking to Dana White to sign me with the UFC. Day 43 of me asking Dana White to sign me with the UFC. Day 71 of me asking Dana White to sign me with the UFC. Day 96 of me asking Dana White to sign me with the UFC. Day 97 of me asking Dana White to sign me with the UFC. Let's go! It's day 108 of me asking Dana White to sign me with the UFC.
how? First of all, what day are you on right now?
I'm day 112, and
112.
the day
Okay.
of the fight I'm going to be day 116, and that's what I'm going to say on UFC Fight Pass is that I'm ready and I'm just waiting. And it's day 116 of me asking Dana White to sign me with the UFC, and after the fight, UFC Fight Pass, they will post it and they will call me.
Where did this idea come from?
Came from a friend of mine, a sponsor of mine, One Bone. Good people, very good people. They do clothes, especially for bigger people, and like they're super nice with me, and they like Sammy, like he's the one that introduced me to do something different that no one does, and that could be the thing. And we all know in life the only thing that pays is consistency. So right now
Yeah.
I'm consistent, and I'm just waiting for the call, and it's going to come. Like if the wins are lined up, and I still call the shot, like they're going to call me soon.
Yeah. I think some fighters think that if they keep winning fight after fight, it's an automatic. They're going to be noticed. But I disagree with that to a certain degree in the fact that, yes, you have to win the fights, but you also have to win the fights against people who are going to push you and put on a good performance with you. If you go in and beat some poor guy up in 10 seconds every time, nobody's going to care, right? They're not going to think you're a good fighter. You're just good enough to beat a guy in 10 seconds. But you're fortunate, I think, in your opponent this weekend, Jeremy Henry. He's not a nobody, man. He's got a good name. He's got solid foundations. He's got a lot of success. And I think a win over him can do nothing but make you look even better.
Yeah, I agree. Like he's a guy that been beating like very high caliber people. He's the guy that is fighting on very big promotion. So like I I know he's a good guy. Like that's what I hope. Like I hope he's not going to tap after the first like submission attempt or ground and pound. Like I hope it's going to last a little bit. Like my last fight. Like my last fight, I had such a big ground and pound game, and like there were like bloods everywhere. There was a special performance, like because the guy was super fucking tough,
Yeah.
and that's why I like to fight tough people, so I can show my skill set.
So at this point, you've been fighting for a long time now. Your skill level is still evolving. You're still growing as a fighter. How do you make sure that during your training and in your development as a fighter, you don't stay stagnant in one area and you continue to push yourself to grow? Is that something that you have within you, or is that something like Coach Richard Ho at H2O MMA, is he instilling that in you, or is it a team effort?
Yeah, sure. The team I have around me, like I never consider me as the best in any part of the MMA. Like what I think I'm the best at is like combining everything, and
Mm-hmm.
there in between, like I said, the mindset. Like we have such a good group at H2O and TriStar, and I see some people sometimes, and I'm like, oh shit, they're like they're doing something good, and I just like to do the same, and sometimes I'm so competitive. Sometimes I see people train, and I'm like, oh shit, they're still training. I should be still training. I'm always pushing myself, competing with people around me, and I think it's a healthy competition like that I have, like because I love it. I love the competition side of the sport, and like I said, I think it's healthy. But every time I see people work stuff, and I feel it's interesting because like you cannot train like everybody, like so you need to get a little of everybody, like just never consider yourself as the best, as the
Mm-hmm.
one that have the good way to train, like always like question yourself.
Well, it seems to me you're just following a blueprint that was set by perhaps the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, and Georges St. Pierre. He was always extremely vocal throughout his entire career that he would learn lessons from absolutely anybody he would meet. He was always so humble. He never acted like he was the greatest. He always had a lot to learn. And I think that's just an innate thing within a nature that can make you better. And if you don't have that, I don't know that you can learn.
Yeah, that's true. I think all the fighter here in Montreal we like to compare ourselves a bit to George St. Pierre. Like nobody can, but we like to like have him as a like even if you can reach the level, like you can try, and that's what I'm trying to do. Like I think he has the best mentality, and that's why I'm doing it. Like I'm trying to not be him, but I'm trying to be as good as him, and
Mhm.
I'll die trying. Like that's the thing. Like again, like people can say, "Oh, he compares himself to Georges St. Pierre. He's stupid." But no, I'm just trying. I'll try my best all
Yep.
my life, and
Yep.
I think that's the way. Like just always try your best, and you might succeed, you might not, but at
Yep.
least at the end of the day, you try your best.
Yep. Like Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. Amen. Go Abs, go.
All right, Michelle, that's all I got for you right now, my man. I'm wondering though, before we finish, is there anything that you want to talk about that I didn't bring up?
Ah, just like thanks to all the people that support either me, Andy, yourself, like Samourai MMA, like Daniel Lafond is such an important figure of
Mhm.
MMA in Canada, and people don't know it enough. Like he likes to be like undercover a bit, but I think we need to thank him, and that's because of him that we have like a platform here in Quebec to fight and to show our skill set, and um, I feel sometimes he's not he doesn't have the credit he deserves, but like he deserves a lot. And like I said, sometimes I just text him like thank you, like, and he was like, oh, why, like what did I do, like I'm just like, I can fight, I can follow my dreams because of people like you, like you let me express myself in the cage. And like we're on UFC Fight Pass right now because of you. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're fighting at the Casino of Montreal. That's an emblematic place. Like we're on Mississauga right now. It's so big what you've accomplished, and like I think sometimes like people just need to say thank you. Like even if it's
Yeah.
out of nowhere, like just thanks.
Yeah, I agree completely. Daniel's one of those guys. I don't think people, when you get somebody who does something very well, it's really easy to be overlooked because people don't see the hardships. They just see the success. They see the results. They go, oh, Samurai MMA, it's great. But they don't understand how much time and effort and money and and blood and
Yeah.
toil, sweat and tears he's put into it. Like even for me personally, like he did something very kind to me last week. He made a post that was just, it blew me away. And I think he's the kind of guy who also makes a point of just acknowledging the people in his life and that are good to him. And I think you're right. I think we all need to be good back to Daniel Lafond. I'm so thankful that he's got Samurai MMA. He's, like you said, gives you opportunities to show your skills, and so many other fighters as well, and the entertainment of the fans. And yeah, he's a terrific guy. So thank you for bringing him up.
Yeah, exactly. Like you gotta know, like you gotta think like the end that feed you something.
Oh, did you freeze?
Oh no, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, you froze. No, you're back. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, it's all good. I don't think I lost any video there. Okay, Michelle, I just want to
Great.
thank you again. Wish you best of luck this weekend at Samurai MMA. Is it 19? I think it is. Kick some butt. Have a great performance, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you. I appreciated that.
Okay, take care. Hey there, fight friends. We have a special treat today. We are joined by the dynamic duo from Thicc Boy MMA, Thicc Boy Fight Club, Andrew Tyson and Bojan Kladnjaković. Guys, so good to see you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm probably doing better than you guys. I know you just did a lot of international travel and you probably haven't caught up in your sleep yet. You were just in Colombia with Scott Heathcote. How was that experience?
Fantastic experience. Scott got another very dominant win. He got 15 minutes of cage time in altitude against a very tough opponent, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else is in store for Scott coming up.
And what else is in store? He already has his next fight lined up. I think it's July 26th in Costa Rica, isn't it?
Yeah, that is correct. We made that, the morning after he agreed to the opponent. So we'll be taking another trip with Scott Heathcote to San Jose, Costa Rica. It's a promotion called TNX. Pablo, a good friend of mine. So looking forward to it.
That's fantastic. So we'll talk a little bit later more about your role as trainers, but right now I'd like to start off talking about your role as promoters. The two of you are co-founders of Thicc Boy MMA or Thicc Boy Fight Club, which is, with unashamedly, it's probably my favorite MMA fight event to go to. It's to attend in person. It's just so unlike anything else. It's got so much character. You've got so many different things going on, in addition to so many great fights, amateur fights. It's just a really great overall entertainment night for me as a fan.
Yeah, we take pride in that. We both came up as fighters, and we know how hard it was to get fights as amateurs, and just a path you have to be on. And we wanted to make it easier for guys here in Ontario. Me coming from the States, where it was easy to get fights, it was kind of sad seeing how many guys had to go through what they went through here in Ontario. We want to be the reason that changes.
Well, with Thicc Boy Fight Club, you've certainly done that. When you started off, you were doing amateur pancration under the Ontario Grappling Association, because at the time, amateur MMA was not legal in Ontario. It has since been legalized, and you've had both pancration and MMA fights. But I think the role that you played, and you have played the past few years, you've had some incredible fighters come through your roster, come through your doors, and just giving these young athletes a chance to compete at such a good level already. It's just overall, it's great for the sport.
Yeah, like I said, we take pride in that, and being somebody who loved the sport and went through what I went through, I couldn't imagine being in a position where I would have to, travel to the States, what he had to do, or travel to Montreal. So we wanted to give these guys opportunity the same way I had it in some of the, when you're in the States, it's very competitive already. Canada's kind of at a disadvantage, and we just want to be a reason that changes.
And if you look at it now, it's kind of been a catalyst to creating the ultimate fighters market. I mean, there's more shows now than ever. Fighters could actually fight every other week this summer.
Mm-hmm. With the advent of the legalization of amateur MMA in Ontario, a lot of people came out of the woodwork and started putting on amateur MMA shows. So the market's getting pretty saturated. Are you finding it a challenge right now to still get the quality fighters and quality fights that you put on in the past?
Well, something that we didn't expect to really happen when we started doing Thicc Boy Fight Club. I was really just reaching out to a lot of gyms I knew that had good fighters. We just wanted to be promoters. The team grew organically because we were inside of a gym. So now we do kind of have a luxury of also having a fight team to match up. So it's been a little bit of a help for us as well. So we really just have to find opponents for our team, and we could probably do an entirely Thicc Boy card, But we've got teams represented from all over. This is our 10th milestone event, so we can't wait for Saturday.
A lot of people are going to be hoping I'm going to ask the question I'm going to ask you right now. So I'm going to say it straight out. What in the hell is a Thicc Boy?
So it actually kind of started off as like a joke. So growing up in Kansas City, I was always kind of known in wrestling and fighting as like the guy who eat a lot. Like I would cut weight, gain a bunch of weight. It was just kind of like a running joke. And
all fighters have eating disorders. If you cut weight, you have an eating disorder,
And so basically, I used to always post my food. It was something I was known for in Kansas City, and I used to hashtag. I would put propaganda as like a joke. And then one of our friends, while watching me post videos, was like, "You're like a Thicc Boy Fight Club." And so I just started hashtagging in all the videos, and all my friends, all my supporters back in Kansas City used to laugh "Oh, this is you. All you used to do is train hard, gain weight, cut weight." And it was the joke of all fighters kind of eating disorder. And
Thicc Boy Fight Club, initially we were just training really hard together during the lockdown, and then going out to eat. It would be UFC fight nights together, eating. And Tyson said what it symbolizes is that feeling of when you train really hard and then enjoy your meal after. No fighter is happier than that moment. If you got to train like a Thicc Boy and then eat like a Thicc Boy.
And the Thicc Boy brand, to me, it seems like it's really taken off. I think you've been really smart with your merchandise. I mean, your hoodies are coveted. People love wearing your Thicc Boy merchandise, your shirts and your hoodies and stuff like that. So I think it's just really smart marketing. And I guess I don't really have a question there.
Yeah, like I said, it's just something that I was kind of always into. And even like I said, the funny thing about when I came up with the logo is I was watching a documentary about sumo wrestlers, and they're just showing how hard they train. I remember always laughing at myself, man, I wish I was a heavyweight and I could just always eat all the time and not worry about cutting weight. And I remember after the documentary, it shows all the hard training, and it's them all sitting around shirtless, all big, eating, and they were just laughing. And I remember being oh, they look like a bunch of happy Buddhas. And that's kind of where I got the idea. And then, I just kind of put the logo together based off the idea that a Buddha who's a sumo wrestler. Because I feel all fighters, whether you cut weight or not, or you're a boxer, wrestler, I grew up wrestling. And I think a lot of people just resonate with the idea of you feel like a happy fat Buddha when you cut weight and eat or you train. And people just kind of resonate. A lot of my guys who've never done MMA, boxers relate to, a lot of my old wrestling friends. And I think it's just something all fighters can relate to.
And if you've been to our shows, the theme is food heavy. We got Rancho Relaxo, some of the best tacos at this one. Fat Boy Grill for the VIPs. Shout out to him, huge
Pizza
supporter. Pizza Nostra is there. Crumble Cookies comes by. Grappa Restaurant comes by. I mean, it's always a food heavy event. We want everybody to have a good time, eat good, watch some good fights.
And if you ever go to Pizza Nostra, we actually have a pizza that used to be named after me because I used to go there every week, and I changed it to the Thicc Boy. And it was literally the idea that I used to go there every week, and they're you eat this every single week? I'm yeah. And they named this pizza after me, and I changed it to the Thicc Boy. So if you're ever near Pizza Nostra, order the Thicc Boy. Best pizza in the city.
Thicc Boy special.
I will have to do that, get the Thicc Boy special. I know I've really enjoyed whenever you have the food trucks at your events. That's always one of my things I enjoy. And also,
that's why we do it.
You mentioned food heavy too. Now, something pretty unique about Thick Boy Fight Club is that you have so many different intermission events. I know you've toned down the amount of fights you're having these days, but at the start of your promotion, you would have it wouldn't be uncommon to have 24 fights in one night. So it was a long night, man. And you'd have a bunch of intermissions. I know one night you had like a comedian, a professional wrestler, a pizza eating contest, and all sorts of stuff like that. And what's the feedback being from the public about those kinds of things?
Feedback? Sorry, what'd you say?
I was just talking about how you have so many different intermissions events, like a stand-up comedian and pro wrestling and pizza eating contest. What have been the feedback from the fans when you put those things on?
Well, we've been to so many different shows. Like Tyson's traveled all over the world with me, so we've seen a lot of different things, and we thought let's take the best ideas, put them together, because it's still really about entertainment. We've had giant chess tournaments, we've had the sumo wrestling and the sumo suits, and our most popular thing that's created this entire MMA rivalry and story is the pizza eating contest. It's created characters like King Clayton Pie and King Caesar, and then Big Dose coming in. So we're gonna continue sprinkling those in because I think that adds to the whole flavor of the show.
Yeah, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I'd put all my money on Dose every time. I think
it's a good bet. It's a good bet.
I mean, between him and Caesar, it's gonna be a clash of the pizza gods. That's for sure.
Okay. All right, I promised you I'd talk about this later on, and it's that time now. You are both also coaches, and you are bringing up a really strong generation of young fighters through Thick Boy MMA. You mentioned Scott Heathcote, you've got Scout Meyer, a few others, Daniel Gombos. These guys are really good fighters. Tell me about your philosophy.
Man. Julian Carmona, Granite, Mitsaya, Artesh Chahil, Malik Tatina. I mean, the list goes off. Yeah. Phil Trapp, Michaela Baker. I'm really proud of all these guys, and I'm excited to see where their careers go.
Tell me about your training philosophy. The two of you together, are you both co-coaches, or is one of you the main coach, or do you kind
Tyson is the head coach. Tyson is the head coach. He's been my coach. Meeting Tyson, I recognized that, right away he's probably going to be one of the best coaches in Canada. His experience in the state, his wrestling background, undefeated in MMA. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have continued fighting. I felt like I found a gem in him. He was like a one-stop camp, you know what I mean? He could hold pads for me, run me through conditioning, beat me up in grappling, and he just has a mind for MMA. He has a strong philosophy, and he's rubbed off on me a lot. And I probably wouldn't have won all those fights and traveled all those places without him.
That's sweet. That was sweet.
I still don't really like the guy, but
it's always good when you find somebody that you're compatible with, that you click with, and you can do things together. I find it can really elevate your potential to a different degree than if you're by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, when I met him initially, I was coming out. We kind of bonded off of both being injured, having a knee injury, and I was still kind of in the competitor mode. And I remember one time he made the statement, and at the time I was actually offended. He was like, "Oh, you're gonna be a better coach than you were a fighter," and I was still a fighter. So I remember being like, "What's that supposed to mean?" Right? But now that I'm older and I'm retired, I actually realized that was the biggest compliment. But yeah, it was just having a philosophy. I come from a really high level team in Kansas City.
I mean, I was taking him around to at the time we were training all over the place, and he was kind of beating up guys that were just getting ready for fights, and I'm like, you're acting like a retired old man.
Yeah, so I didn't think I was gonna fight.
I even dragged him out. I think it was 5-6 years after his last fight, and he fought in Panama, and proved me right, to be honest.
Yeah, at the time I didn't realize how good of a blessing it would be to be coach, because I didn't necessarily ever think I'd be a full-time coach. I kind of was like a training partner of his, and I was like, okay, we don't have a head coach. But now I'm happy that I've gone all in. I'm a very competitive guy, so same energy I put into fighting, I put into coaching. But 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have thought I'd be a head coach and doing all the traveling, and I really didn't think that'd be what I was doing.
I mean, we're seeing things come together for us, like all these international fights that I have. I'm realizing maybe I was really just paving the way for guys like Scott and guys like Julian to just follow and actually do it 10 times better than I did, make it to the UFC, have this international experience. So I think, that's the next journey that we're on in the next stage of our life.
Maybe the both of you could explain to me in your own words, what does it feel like to take a young athlete and train them and coach them and mold them, and to watch them step inside a cage and have their arm raised in victory? What's that feeling like, seeing them succeed?
Can I get this one first? I've been super proud of a lot of my moments and fights that I've accomplished, and some of the places I've been to. But when I took Scott to Serbia for the Worlds, when he won gold, I've never been so proud of in my life. Like felt way more accomplished than anything I've ever done. And I think that was a huge eye-opening experience for me personally as well. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's something else. Like Scott alone, he was. I remember he came to me. I was his first ever coach on the first ever trial day as a gymnast. He'll be my student forever. He's Tyson's fighter, but he'll be my student forever. And yeah, like things like that make me incredibly proud. And I can't wait to share those experiences with some of these other guys that have stuck by us through thick and thin.
Yeah. Tyson, how about you?
Oh yeah, I mean, same thing. Like, when I was coaching him, like I said, it was kind of like we had like a friendship, and I didn't necessarily look at myself as like the main coach because he had a lot of the guys like Raph Delgado, obviously Rory McDonald and Prick and all these legends, and I just kind of looked like I was like added on to his coaching career. But yeah, like for me, the same thing. Bringing Scott out to the Worlds and realizing that like man, we really are developing some of the best fighters in the world. It was a huge moment for me, and one of the things about fighting is when you yourself fight. You have one 15 minutes of anxiety. It's your fight. Once it's over, you're good. There's times where I've fought, I've had 8 guys fighting on a card, and I realized that, man, it really means a lot more to do it multiple times a night. That up, that down. Yeah, it's
this guy loses, this guy wins, this guy, it's a roller coaster.
And I realize it really does mean more because now that I'm done fighting, I realize a lot of guys don't realize that if you take this sport seriously, you don't have to make it to UFC to see a lot of benefits. And I take pride in kind of getting guys to see that don't look at this like if I don't make the UFC, I'm a failure. Look at it like I'm becoming a better man. I'm disciplined. And both me and him didn't make the UFC, and now look what we're doing. And, I really do think that my injury was a blessing. I was a guy who, it was for me like UFC top 5 in the world or bust. I came from that type of team. And now I realize that, man, like maybe getting injured and my career ending earlier was a good thing. Because I know I'm going to get a bunch of guys, Scott probably being one, into the UFC.
Yeah, it's like I told Tyson, it's like we might have never made it to the UFC. I know we both tried our absolute hardest, but we're going to still be in the UFC just on the other side of the fence.
There you go. That's a great attitude to have, and I'm excited as a fan. I get to watch you guys go on that ride with those fighters of yours because you've got a whole bunch of them. Like you mentioned, their names, they all look really good, and I'm always excited to watch them fight at Thicc Boy.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, and Andy. I just want to say thank you for everything you've done. You've been an absolute pillar in the Canadian MMA scene. Nobody does what you do. I've always appreciated it. This is why you're always sitting cage side next to the ring girls, and that seat will always be reserved for you. We got nothing but love for you, Andy, all right?
Favorite seat in the house.
If you really appreciate me, I want to see a brass plaque where I can sit my ass down on it with my name on it.
With a star on it.
Yeah, you deserve it, brother.
No, stop. All right, guys, so let's move on now. This weekend, Thicc Boy MMA, Thicc Boy Fight Night 10. That's pretty crazy, your 10th event already. I'm looking forward to the main event with Scout Meyer against Sheltrim. Both super good fighters. This is a big test for both of them, I think. Talk about that fight and the rest of the fight card.
Yeah, I mean, we got a whole stacked card. Lots of Thicc Boys on the card. Main event, co-main event, fighting for the title. We got a top contender fight also between Oliver Smith and Ahad. Banger of a fight. And some new guys that you're going to see make an appearance too. I mean, it's making it to 10 fights is a milestone event for any promotion, and we're really looking forward to nailing it this Saturday.
And we may actually have another title. We can't say yet, but we might have another Thicc Boy fighting for a title. We can't say yet until it's fully confirmed. So, this is definitely going to be our biggest event.
Another Thicc Boy fighting for the title at Thicc Boy 10 or at a different event?
At 10. We can't confirm it yet. You'll be the first to know once it's confirmed. We don't want to break it and it not happen. But, so still some more stuff happening with the card. We're just super excited about it.
I mean, we just got Bashar Farhan on the card, like a local legend in the Muay Thai scene, and I'm really excited to see him make his MMA debut.
Exciting. The only sad part about this whole thing is I won't be able to attend Thicc Boy 10. I've been to, I think, 6 or 7 of them, but I can't make them all, unfortunately, because of my job. But hopefully I'll be able to be there for 11.
Yep.
Absolutely. Your seat will be reserved.
Thank you.
Excellent.
All right, guys. My last question I always like asking is there anything that you want to talk about that I didn't bring up?
Man, there's probably lots, but I think this is a fantastic interview. We've been really looking forward to speaking to you. We think you're going to phenomenal job highlighting all the promotions, all the Canadian fighters fighting abroad, and every show and every fighter. You do them so much justice. So just want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for me, I just want to say, like, in this sport, it's a very competitive sport. When you're a coach, it's obviously competitive amongst other coaches. When you're a promoter, same thing. But I personally, being the guy who's not from here, I want to give a big shout out to a lot of our supporters. Chris Prickett from Niagara Top Team, Z Lau from Trillium, all the guys from Santos Brothers. I'm very grateful that I've been embraced in this community, and people. I think we got around the right people that realize that. Yeah, we may compete as coaches, but this is about getting Canadian MMA to where it needs to be, to getting us to the next George St. Pierre. And I just want to say personally to a lot of those coaches, maybe I haven't said it, thank you. I hope that you see it the way I do, which is it doesn't matter if your guy beats mine or we beat you. As long as we're beating each other on the way up to something greater. So I just want to say that to all the guys who've opened it up. I know that has a lot to do with Bojan's relationships, and even the other promotions. Shout out to Jamie at Prospect. Josh, Adam, everybody at BTC. We take
Alana
pride
at Mayhem, new one on the block. Love working with her.
We take pride in bringing our fighters to these other shows, and we just want to get the chance to let them know that this is about more than just being your competitor as a promoter, your competitor as a coach. For me personally, being born Canadian and knowing that we have more talent than the world's gotten to see, just thank you to everybody in the community that supported us.
And big thank you to our team and everybody that works with us. We could not be able to do a show without such a solid team. Like Cody Saftic, the best matchmaker in the game. And like top down, my security team, the officials.
Everyone from OGA.
I do got to make sure we highlight all those people.
And also, the guy who we wouldn't have been able to do this without, rest in peace to Rohit, the one who founded the OGA. Huge thanks to Jerry, the guy who took the reins, and his wife Mona, who's going to keep carrying it on. Without the commission there and their love for the sport, we know we couldn't have did this. So huge shout out to Rohit. We hope that we make his legacy proud as we continue.
As you can see, we have so many people to thank. So
if we forgot you, trust me, we love you as well.
Okay, guys, beautiful sentiment. I really love your attitude and your perspective toward the game. We're all here to lift each other up. We're all human beings, so keep doing you. I'll keep attending and keep being a fan of Thick Boy Fight Club. Thanks again, and I will talk to you guys. Antoine, thank you so much for speaking with me today on the MMA show.
Thank you for having me.
It's fight week. You're at this point, I guess you'd be considered a veteran. You've got 8 professional MMA fights under your belt. What does fight week look like to you?
Fight week is getting massage done, making sure the body's ready, and of course, making weight.
Of course, and you are fighting this weekend at Samourai MMA 19, and you've been with this organization for a while. They're treating you really well. You've done well in that organization. What are you expecting from this weekend's event?
Well, being considered a veteran is something I didn't thought I was gonna happen so soon.
Yeah,
because I still feel new to the sport, so there's a lot to learn still. But yeah,
well, I don't know what actually, if there's a definition for what a veteran is. I think a veteran is even just one fight, but I mean, you've got more than one. You've got 8 fights. You've got a record of 6-2, which is a good record. Your only 2 losses are both split decisions, which if somebody's watching this doesn't really understand what that means, it means that 3 judges score a fight. That means 2 judges scored it for your opponent and 1 judge scored it for you. So that means in both your losses, all it took was 1 judge to change your mind and you could have won that fight. So, regardless, it's a very impressive record and it's good on you.
Yeah.
Okay, do me a favor, just before we get too far into this. I know you're very popular in Quebec, but my audience goes across from all of Canada, all the way from British Columbia to Newfoundland. Just take a moment and introduce yourself and say who you are and why we're talking right now.
I'm a mixed martial artist. I'm 24 years old. I'm fighting this Friday, May 29th, and you will probably see me in the UFC in the future. And yeah, I think people are going to know me in the future. Maybe not now, but one day.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, everyone has a favorite fighter, and at one point, they didn't know who that fighter was. They'd never heard of them before. So if this is the first time people are seeing your face, I know for sure it won't be the last.
Yeah.
Okay, so Antoine, tell me about your training, your martial arts background. When did you start training, and what did you do? Was it straight into mixed martial arts, or did you start off with a traditional martial art?
Uh, I dabbled in a few few sports before, I truly started my mixed martial art career. So I did lacrosse. I did maybe a little bit of wrestling. I always did a little bit of martial art, but I really started at 18 years old, so like
Mm.
6 years ago, right before COVID happened. Yeah, when I finished high school, I just jumped into another sport, and I knew I always wanted to do a combat sport. So
Mm.
I found a gym near me, and there you go. We're fighting professionally now.
And the rest is history. What
Yeah,
was the name
exactly.
of your first gym, and is it the gym where you still train now?
I'm still at it now. Yeah, it's Team 360
Yeah.
in the South Shore of Montreal, and that same coach who saw potential in me is gonna be with me in my corner in my next fight.
And talk about your coach.
Uh, Mark, uh, Mark's the first guy who gave me, who in fact pushed me into fighting and showing my potential. I was obviously always a shy and quiet kid who loved to train, was always there, was training probably harder than some of the fighter who was competing at the time, but I wasn't even competing. And obviously, it didn't take long that I started competing and starting, my amateur career.
Hmm.
And eventually, well, quite quickly, we talked about going pro, and we decided to go. And now 8 fights in, we're still together. We're still working hard,
Awesome, awesome.
traveling for training and doing everything we have to do to reach the top of the sport. Lah.
Team 360 has got a good name. It's got a good reputation, and something else. It's got nothing really to do with you, I don't think. But something else they're doing really well lately is I've noticed they've have a big output, a big uptick in their social media posts. So they do all those neat things with the alligators and the graphics and stuff. And I always think that's kind of cool when I see it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can thanks my coach for that.
Yeah, nice. Okay, Antoine, you mentioned how you went from sport to sport in the past. You tried different things, and then you decided to try fighting. How is it that you decided this was what you wanted to stay with and it wasn't time to move on to something else? Why is MMA so appealing to you?
I think it's the most complete sport that exists. You couldn't make me choose between grappling, boxing, kickboxing. I have to do it all. And my love for like sports and movement and everything. There's just no pinnacle of other sport other than mixed martial art.
Yeah, that's right. It relies a lot upon what you put into it. I think in lifetime, in general, as people, we can survive or we can even do well in life depending on who we are, if even if we don't put in good effort, because we might have a good family, or maybe you were born rich, or maybe you had good schooling, or you have all these privileges. But with fighting, if you don't put the effort into preparing yourself, it doesn't matter how rich you are, it doesn't matter what your parents think, it doesn't matter where you were born. Once that cage door closes and it's just you facing off against that opponent, if you're not ready, man, you're going to be in for a world of trouble.
Yeah, and that's a scary thing. That's probably the feeling you get when you're about to fight. That feeling you get in your chest. It's probably what I'm chasing a little bit. It's that
Really?
scare. Like yeah, yeah. It's weird because I don't feel it as much as I used to. But like fight week, you sort of feel it again, and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
it's about to get real.
Yeah. Is it that feeling it's in your chest? Is it fear?
But yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. You're kind of like, oh, why am I doing this shit?
Yeah. Because you love
And
it.
yeah. It makes me smile, because I know I'm doing something hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
When
scary.
when you are finished a fight, and your arm gets raised inside the middle of the cage. What's that feeling like?
Peace, quiet. Honestly, the to me, the best feeling in the world is when I'm done with the fight. I'm sitting in the I'm sitting, I'm watching the other people fight after me, and I'm
Yeah.
just at peace, thinking of nothing, and I'm so relaxed.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, I
when you have
think
that like big adrenaline rush, and then it goes away, you just feel so so
I,
relaxed.
I think that feeling, I think you should enjoy it while you can, because I don't think you're going to get a chance to do that many more times. Because as you know, the more you
I'm
fight,
getting closer and closer to the top.
yeah,
Yes,
closer to the top, right? So eventually, soon enough, you're going to be the main event man, and there's no more fights to watch after yours.
that's true.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a second. I'm going to go to my page for Samourai. So you had an opponent change. Tapology, of course, still has the old one. They say you're fighting Gerald Morales. But my website, MMA.ca, of course, is up to date multiple times a day. And you are fighting Fernando Donoso. Tell me about
Exactly.
this man and what you know about him and what you have to do to take the fight to him.
Okay, so it's his coach, training partner slash coach. So this is not like it's not like a short notice opponent. It's the guy was already training with my last one, you know. So it's not like it's somebody that just showed up. The
Got
guy
it.
knew me. He was training for me probably long before he accepted. You know,
Mm,
stuff like that. People get injured and they wait before telling me. You know, so the guy was probably preparing even before the opponent got changed for me.
really? So you think that
Probably. I
he's the
mean,
coach and he knew from the start he wanted to fight you. And so
uh,
then,
maybe not from the start, but from the moment he saw his student get injured,
yeah.
maybe he got in his head that maybe he's gonna replace him.
So that's a little bit of
But yeah,
gamesmanship. He's keeping that information from you to kind of surprise you and throw you off, you
I
think.
mean, who wouldn't do that? So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
um, I think though he's a harder matchup for me. He's
Okay.
uh, he's better. I think both opponents are a little bit underrated. They
Mm,
don't show on their on their card uh, that they're good, but his coach is good. He's gonna
mm.
you can see he's got some experience. He's tough. He's really confident in the cage. Yeah, confidence is the right word.
Yep. Yep.
He's gonna bring the action. The guy did wars. Like his last fight is a big war. The guy
Yeah.
just never stops. So I'm more excited for this fight than my last one. Let's be honest. So
So
it's kind of gives me challenge. Like you get the feeling that you're gonna have to fight and you're gonna have to maybe overcome challenges. I
yep.
think this one might be one, of course.
I'm really happy, Antoine, to hear you say those words because in order for you to progress as a fighter and increase your skill level and to get better over time, you have to fight people who have a possibility of beating you and are going to push you and are going to challenge you. Because if you go into a fight and you win in 10 seconds every single fight, that's not really doing anything for you. Sure, you're getting a paycheck, but you're not having your skill set challenged. And when you get your skill set challenged, that's what allows you afterward to reflect and take a look and have that honest conversation with yourself to say, okay, I need to work on my jab. I need to
It's
work on
true.
my distance control. These are the things, these are the lessons that teach you these tough fights.
Yes, I hope I'm gonna be able to show my skills and it's not gonna end in 1 minute or two.
Yeah.
I hope I'm gonna be able to really have a fight and show what I can bring to the mixed martial art world.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to imagine something for me. Imagine it's the morning after your fight. You won your fight. You had your arm raised. You went out. You watched the rest of the fights. You sat with your teammates, your coaches. Maybe you had a beer. I don't know. Maybe you didn't. Went out for some food. You had a little bit of a party. You wake up the next morning. You're lying in your hotel bed, and your eyes just open, and you're looking at the ceiling, and you're remembering last night in the fight. What does that memory look like? What did that fight look like to you? What did you do and how did you perform?
Hopefully, I'm gonna feel free. I'm gonna really be able to show my movement. I'm gonna be fluid. I'm gonna be moving fast. Hopefully, I'm gonna be sharp. I'm gonna be countering him. Um, it's gonna be it's gonna be like slow motion. I'm gonna be able to see everything happening. But let's be honest. My last fight lasted 2 minutes. I barely remember it.
Yeah, I
Shit
know.
happened so fast. I had to rewatch it to know what happened. So, but yeah, hopefully I'm gonna be just better than my opponent, and I'm gonna finish him. Of course, I want the finish. I'm not gonna try to settle for decision. I've been on too many bad decisions. But yeah, I can't see. I feel so good for this camp. So I think it's gonna show in the fight. I think I'm gonna be calm. I'm gonna be in control. He's gonna bring the action, and I'm gonna just control the chaos, and hopefully my fist gonna find his face.
When I hear you talk about the fight and what your actions are going to be during the fight, in my mind, it makes me think that these are things that you repeat over and over to yourself, that they're phrases or mantras. I'm going to be fluid, all that kind of stuff. I'm wondering if you practice any type of mental strength performance training before the event, and any sort of like validation or preparation or focus talk. Is that something that's part of your training?
The way the way I approach the mental aspect of the game, I try to apply it. I try to be stoic. So I try to not have emotion, especially not fight day, especially not when you train. So I try to be really to see things as they are. Yes, I tell myself action word. So I will tell myself to be relaxed, fluid. You will see everything. You will be in control. I don't think of outcomes. I don't project myself. I just think about the moment right now, about what I can do, and it's just to be the most present I can be. It makes me the most relaxed I can be. My last fight was obviously probably one of my best performance, quickest fight of my career. I think. Maybe second quickest, but still, I think I was the calmest, the most in control I've been in my fight. So
Okay.
I think I'm gonna bring even more of that control and calmness and experience maybe in the cage.
I think that comes also with just maturing as a human being. I mean, you're still a young man, and
Yeah.
you're still learning, you're still growing as a person too. So I think those are probably, your humanness and your fight preparation. They're sort of merging together a little bit more now. Maybe.
Yes. Well, yeah. I don't know. People like if you ask my parents if they thought I was gonna be a fighter one day, they wouldn't tell me. They wouldn't know.
No.
They wouldn't have known. People usually at first people when I told them I was doing amateur fights, they couldn't believe me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
no,
it's
I
so
think
true that
fighting was always in me somewhere. I always wanted to compete, and yeah,
do you remember what the first fight you ever saw? The first time you thought, "Hey, that's something I want to try."
first fight.
And it could have been a boxing
No,
match. It could have been
no,
kickboxing. Could have been
no,
anything.
no,
No,
no.
don't
And
remember.
honestly, I never watched something and said, "Yeah, that's what I want to do." To me, I thought that was impossible. I
Yeah.
thought I was too normal, too. I wasn't, desperate enough. I wasn't needing money enough to do stuff like that. I wasn't crazy enough or something like that. That's how I thought. I thought, I'm just gonna train. I'm gonna learn to protect myself. I love learning about sport and stuff. So that's how it started for me. And obviously, as you realize, uh, you have to prove yourself sometimes. You have to do stuff to prove what you're doing works. So you start competing, you start doing stuff, and I just see it the same way as I used to in amateur. It's it's my craft, it's my career. I want to get better at it. I need to prove it Friday night.
Well, Antoine, on that note, I'm gonna wish you the best of luck in your goals and achieving your success on Friday night at Samurai MMA 19. I hope you kick some butt. I hope you have a great fight, and I hope you learn something about yourself.
Thank you.
Before we get going, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think we should have talked about?
Always good, man. Always good. Thank you for the interview. That was amazing.
Okay. That's great. We'll do it again someday.
Of course.
Okay, Antoine Chaput fighting in the main card, Samurai MMA 19. Antoine, best of luck. Camillo, it's really nice to chat with you right now on the MMA show. I've had the pleasure of meeting you in person a couple times before, and you're very, very polite and genuine young man. But this is our first interview, so I wanted to say welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I'm very happy to do this interview with you.
That's great. You're so professional. Like it's oftentimes when I talk to people, like I have to guide them through how to set up and set their camera and everything. And just looking at you right now, you've got your lighting. It's perfect. You're set up properly, dressed nicely, good audio, everything. So thank you.
Appreciate it. I was always trying to do the best I can do. And here we are.
And here we are for sure. You are, as of right now, you are 3-0 as a professional mixed martial artist. You had a very successful amateur career. You're a multiple-time champion in MFL. You were a kickboxing champion and a MMA champion. And I think were you also Muay Thai champion, possibly? Not sure.
Yeah, exactly. I was the first in Quebec to be 3-time champion in 3 different sports. So yeah, that was an awesome experience.
Yeah, I know you were really active. You're really busy for a long time, and now here you are as a pro MMA fighter. Tell me, is it something when you decide to go into combat sports, like when you started off training as a young man, did you know that you were going to be a professional at some point, or was it just a hobby for you that you realized you were really good at?
Well, I knew it pretty soon because I was playing hockey at a very high level and I was at the edge of if I'm trying to go really pro or if I just let it go. And then I found jiu-jitsu and I started training around 15, 16 years old. And I knew right away that I had this thing in me which I love to compete. I love to fight. I've always loved to fight in my youth. So pretty soon enough, I realized I saw the guys were making a lot of money, and I was like, I can do it. Like, they're not better than me. If I train, if I put myself into this, everything is possible. So after a few months, I decided I'm going to be a professional fighter one day.
Well, it's working out for you so far. Would you mind taking a second and I know you're really well known in Quebec, but my audience goes from one side of the country to the other. Just take a moment, introduce yourself, say who you are, where you live, and how you got, well, you already mentioned how you got involved in combat sports, but just talk about yourself as a mixed martial artist.
Absolutely. Where I live here in Quebec, Montreal, I've been training for almost 10 years. That feels like I'm getting old because I started around 16. And what I do primary, of course, is MMA. I'm training at H2O Gym and TriStar. I have an awesome team surrounding me. And my goal is to reach the most amount of people in all of Canada. I want people to support me because I'm representing them also when I compete. And it's an honor for me to represent Canada and be on the biggest stage.
That's awesome. Now, your nickname is the Chilean. So I'm guessing, without having asked you, I've met your father before, Arturo. Your roots are from Chile. Were you born there or were you always in Canada?
I was born here, but my father was born in Chile, and I always want to represent also my roots and my people. So that's why the nickname comes from.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's really good too when a fighter, especially once you become more popular and once you get to the higher levels, it's good to embrace whatever you can to separate yourself from everybody else. So I'm sure there's Chilean fighters in the UFC, or I'm not sure. I don't really know. But if that's your ultimate goal someday, that might be a really good avenue for you to exploit. Yes, you're from Canada, but if you can get like a whole country behind you in Chile and Canada, that would just be great for you.
100%, 100%. And honestly, in the last few weeks, few months, I've had a lot of Chilean people reaching out to me saying that they're happy that I represent them, that once I walk out with the flag. So I see a lot of support from my Chilean people, and it brings me a lot of joy.
If somebody hasn't watched you fight before, describe your fight style. What's it like if I'm watching you in a cage? What kind of fighter are you?
I'm honestly really a mix of everything. Like my base is MMA. I can go to the ground, I can strike, I can do everything, but I'm also an aggressive fighter. I love to take the center to strike with the guys, and as soon as they think we're only striking, I bring it down, and then I work my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling. So I'm really a mix of everything, but also an aggressive fighter.
That sounds like it's a grab straight from the playbook of Georges St. Pierre. That's what he did. He would go into a fight and people would think he'd be kickboxing and he'd take them down. They were preparing for his wrestling. He'd stand, he'd jab them to death. So yeah, it's not a bad blueprint to follow.
100%, 100%. And last week I was training with George. He was showing me some techniques, and I mean, he's a legend. So just being close to him, seeing how he thinks, the techniques he has, brings me a lot of energy. And like you said, he's the goat, and to have him here in Montreal, Quebec, is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Now, everybody knows TriStar MMA. It's without a doubt one of the best gyms in the world, best mixed martial arts gyms in the world. But for those of us in the know, we know that H2O MMA is also an excellent gym that over the course of only a few short years, it's really developed a reputation as being a high caliber gym. You have some fantastic fighters. You've got elder statesmen like Michel Dufort, Fred Duprat, Olivier Aubin-Mercier. You've got young guns like you and Ian Stobie. Tell us about the training environment at H2O and what that's like combining that training with H2O and TriStar.
The combination is awesome because, like you said, I'm able to train with OAM, with Fred Duprat, with Michel Dufort, which are my friends and my training partner. And then I also go to TriStar and I can train with guys like Mandel Nalo, have Ferraz, all of his knowledge. So the mix is incredible, and the atmosphere at H2O is awesome. Like once you get all those killers together with Ian Stobie, Olivier Poisson, Nikita Dari, I mean, we're just growing each other, and it's an awesome thing to be part of.
Now, you said a bunch of really impressive names, but I think you missed one, and that is Richard Ho. Talk about Coach Richard for a minute and what he brings to your game plan and your development as a fighter.
Richard's been in my corner since I was 16, 17 years old. He's been there from the beginning. He's an awesome coach. He respects the fighter. He has so much knowledge, and he never lets me down. Like if I have a question, he's always there for the amateur as much as for the professional. So I have a great relationship with Richard O, and he's an awesome coach.
Yeah, he is. That's for sure. All right, we've talked about the past and kind of the present. Let's talk about the future. This weekend, you are fighting at Samourai MMA 19 in Montreal. You're fighting a man named Gustavo Mena. Tell me about him. What did you know about him when you heard the name? Did you even know who he was? And what are you doing to prepare for him as an opponent?
I knew about him because I was supposed to face him like a year ago, and he pulled out. I don't know why, but I've heard good things about him. He's training at American Top Team, one of the best gym in the world in the U.S. And I saw a couple of his fights, and people are calling him the next best thing, the next UFC prospect, and I'm not buying it. I'm just not. I think he's in hot water. I think I'm gonna beat him, but he's a very good fighter, very good prospect. It's going to be a tough fight, but I'm going to get my hand raised once again.
If he is being talked about in that way by some people, they say he's so good. And when you beat him, it's almost like you're going to steal that from him. You're going to take that hype and you're going to give it onto yourself.
100%. That's the goal. I want to steal everything from him. I saw those videos, the commentator hyping it up, saying he's the next best thing and everything. So once I heard that, it light up a fire in me. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what you guys think. I'm going to take it all.
That's amazing. Well, assuming all goes according to plan, and I have no doubt that it will, next week you're going to be a 4-0 professional mixed martial artist. After you have a fight, what's your schedule like? Do you usually take a week off, 2 weeks off, or are you back in the gym the next day?
No, I want to take 7 to 10 days off because I put everything into my fighting career. So I need that break after a big competition. Even if it's not physical, it's more mental than anything. And but I want to stay active, and not by training, but just by keeping my mind active, by doing things, maybe traveling, maybe going to see the family, because I don't want to have that big drop after a big fight. So I stay active, but away from the gym.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like whatever you're doing, it's working out for you. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you again for speaking with us. And before we let you go, I'm wondering, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I didn't bring up?
I think you wrapped it up very well. I want to say to my people to watch the fight on UFC Fight Pass. It's going to be live. I'm in the main card. It's going to be a huge fight against Gustavo Mena, who's a hell of an opponent, and we're going to blow the top of this roof. And I'm very eager to compete in front of you guys.
Awesome. Well, Camillo, thank you once again for our first interview together, or sorry, our second interview together. I interviewed you as part of a panel. I think it's Samourai 13, but that was, this is our first time one-on-one. So once again, thank you very much. And I wish you the best of luck this weekend.
I appreciate you.